Hi, welcome to BariNation, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty.
You've just tuned into a podcast that welcomes you into a community, a resource center, and a safe place that powers your journey towards personal wellness.
Our goal is you leave us today feeling hopeful, inspired, and ready to live your best bariatric life.
Hey BariNation, it's April. You're hearing about one of our newest practice partnerships, ATA Bariatrics, on this podcast episode. And maybe you want your surgeon or surgical center to partner with us too. Help us get in touch with them by sending us a quick email to hello@BariNation.com with the name of your surgeon, surgical center, and contact information. Maybe you're a surgeon or a surgical center and you want to partner with BariNation. It's the same simple process. Send us an email to hello@BariNation.com and let us know you're interested in partnership. We can't wait to support you and your patients everywhere. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the BariNation podcast. Today, we have the honor of introducing you to an amazing expert who you have probably not yet met yet. Her name is Kati Duncan. She's the owner and founder of ATA Bariatrics, which is the newest practice partnership in BariNation. Hi, Kati. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. So excited.
We're very excited. This has been a long time coming. I feel like it
doesn't feel new to me, right? It feels like this has been a while, but yeah, it's
been a while.
New. Yeah.
It's formally new.
Formal.
The first time we met you wasn't it the first ASMBS conference that we went to? And I think you literally shouted across an auditorium, "Yo, BariNation!" And all 1,000 people were like, It was the best.
I've been referring to you guys forever.
Oh, well, we love and appreciate that. And we love and appreciate what you do at ATA Bariatrics. So before we kind of dive into this conversation, which is going to be geared towards people in the process of getting approved and having bariatric surgery, we'd love to just turn the microphone over to you. Will you introduce yourself to our friends and listeners who are new?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, like April said, my name is Kati Duncan. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I've been working in bariatrics now for almost 21 years. It's crazy. Actually, I've been doing this since insurance started requiring that pre-surgical evaluation. And so I was in my fellowship at the medical school when one of my colleagues was doing it, and she had me sit in on one, and I was there for neuropsych. I'm actually a neuropsychologist by training, and so I really had no knowledge of bariatrics at all, and I loved it immediately. I just love the people. It's just the coolest field to be in. So I've been doing it since then, and we've grown since COVID, actually. And so now there's 18 of us in the practice. We're all specializing in bariatrics, and we all kind of it's like me, we all adore this work, and I adore my providers. I think we have a great group of people.
Well, the thing that I think Natalie and I hear most often, or one of the things we hear most often in the BariNation community, is people are looking for skilled experts to work one-on-one with. And I know that you currently don't have any open, ability, but you are onboarding new providers all the time, and you will be able to kind of reopen those one-on-one therapeutic slots.
I'm so excited. And we keep getting these people who are experienced in bariatrics already. They're just coming from other areas, and I love it. And so it's people who get it. And I think that's really important.
Nat and I have had the honor of working with some therapists who get it and then therapists who don't. And Nat, from your patient perspective, what really has been the biggest thing that you've noticed when you have worked with a therapist that really specializes or understands obesity or bariatrics?
The recommendations, I call it homework with my current therapist, is relevant when it's with folks who get and understand bariatrics. When I was working with some therapists who had never worked with bariatrics, let alone obesity and disordered eating, it was like, why am I doing this? What is this for? I don't feel like this is helping me. It felt like I was more lost than helped. But when I'm with someone who really understands bariatrics, obesity, disordered eating, man, it just feels really good. And it feels like I can just take off I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like I just learn and can apply it to my day-to-day life in such a way that's beneficial for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
It is a really powerful experience to be working with a professional that
that just like you said, gets it. They understand what the patient is going through. They understand what you're thinking or what it feels like. They use words that make sense. And that takeoff thing that you talked about, Natalie, I absolutely get it. I felt like my life really did take off when I started getting that one-on-one support from a therapist that understood the bariatric journey. So a phenomenal resource. If you are a patient of ATA Bariatrics, or you would like to maybe eventually onboard therapy, or you're interested in taking a toe dip into support groups, ATA offers all of these services. They have a once a month support group that's led by one of their practitioners on targeted topics. But if you know that support is something that you need, they are our most recent practice partnership. So what that means is that if you are a patient of ATA Bariatrics, you now can join the BariNation membership community at a discounted rate. So that means that you can tap into 70 or 80 support groups, classes, and meetups a month for one membership fee. I know it's crazy. Everybody's like, it's insane what you offer.
That's amazing.
I just uploaded the calendar last night. Can't confirm. Basically at 80. That's a roundup, but we're still basically at 80.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
I know. Well, we just wanted to make sure that patients could tap into support no matter where they are in their journey. We want it to be accessible. We want it to be meaningful. And we really want people to think of BariNation kind of like a menu, right? If you walk in, you sit down, you're like, what do I feel like today? What do I need today? We really wanted to empower patients to be able to self-select instead of some of the experiences where you don't get any choice in what you're learning about that day, right? At a support group, if you go to your clinic. So that was kind of one of the inspirations behind BariNation. We just really wanted to empower patients to be able to tap into what they need when and where they need it. So there you go.
That's great.
It's working out good so far. All right, my friends, let's transition. Let's really jump into this topic. The reason that we are so excited about this is we have plenty of people who listen or watch this show. They are either thinking about bariatric surgery, maybe they haven't told a soul, or they are kind of in that pre-op process. And the pre-op period, moment, journey, whatever you want to call it, can be the most exciting, but also the most overwhelming because you think you're doing things wrong and you just don't know what to do. So this conversation is really geared towards that group of people. So the first place that we want to start, Katie, is what is the purpose of this psychological evaluation that many insurance companies want you to go through before you're approved?
I think it's twofold. So the first is to appease the insurance companies, which, I mean, we care, but really, I find it the next part much more interesting. So the first part is to make sure there's no major contraindications to having surgery. Surgery is not just operating on one part of your body, right? We know, as you all know too well, there is a strong component that can affect your emotional well-being. And if you are already not doing well, or you have a high risk of, certain things, or you are a substance user and you're struggling, it's not the right time. And so sometimes we'll implement a treatment plan in order to get you to where you need to be so that you can have the surgery. We try never to say no. We try to just say not right now. And what do we need to do to get you there? There are lots of different things that would put a pause on the surgery. But for the most part, when people are engaged in the conversation and they're like, I see your point, I'm happy to do that, I'm happy to engage in any form of treatment that we're suggesting, we can get them to surgery. It's really about the willingness to engage in the treatment plan that we know helps them post-surgically. That is the biggest key for us.
I was going to say the two things that absolutely stand out to me there is that you said surgery not yet, not surgery never, right? Now is not the right time. And then you're also entering into kind of this treatment partnership with somebody who very much wants to move forward with the surgery. But I think everybody wants to go through it and move through the post-op journey as best they can. So you're really setting them up for success by you, the patient, being honest about what you're really going through in the moment.
Yeah. I've had it, over the years, I've had people really upset with me because they consider I'm slowing them down. I should clarify, this is not a large portion of the people that we see that we put a pause on or slow down. But when we do, sometimes people are understandably upset. They've got their eye on the prize. They really want to get healthy, but we know it's probably not going to work as well as it might. And we're not talking about a long slowdown. Sometimes it's just, let's get you into therapy. Sometimes let's get you in for 6 sessions. And it doesn't have to be with us. There's no, we normally will give you a curated list of people that we've connected with all throughout the country that treat whatever specific issue you might have, so that people don't feel like they're having to come back into ATA. And really, when people say, you know, okay, that's like fine, but I don't want to do it, I say, I understand. I get that, because it feels highly uncomfortable to have to go share your story with somebody, right? It's not easy. And you just shared it with me, and now you have to go do it with somebody else. Yes. But I can't tell you the number of times that I've seen people go do this, and when they come back, they're like, I was so mad at you. And I am so thankful, because now I have my person, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they only see that person once a month, once every 6 weeks, or they've done a short term and they're good for a while, but they have that person they can go back to, right? So I get more thank yous after the mad at me, and that makes my just heart sing. I'm so happy when that happens.
Right. I mean, Nat and I both know the power of therapy, so we can absolutely attest to that.
Sure.
Nat, you've had 3 bariatric surgeries. Did you go through 3 psych evaluations for each one? And do you remember what that process was like?
You know, I might have gone through one for my lap band. That was 2009. I was 15. I don't really remember having to go through one, but maybe I did. I had complications from that. And then I had the plication shortly after, and I did not have a psych evaluation. That was more of we just think that you would benefit medically from this. For my most recent surgery, I didn't have to, because I did do medical tourism. I went to Mexico. However, as you were speaking, Katie, I just appreciated so much your emphasis on not right now, but let's work together to get you to a place. Because I went through, before my most recent surgery, I went through 2 rounds with 2 different hospitals, systems, 2 different psychiatrists that both denied me and just said no. Like, there was no partnership at all. And I was really angry, and I gave up for 3 years and gained even more weight because I was angry. And so, you know, I know and can understand the power of these evaluations and the partnership, but I think that's the missing piece that we really just don't oftentimes receive as bariatric patients. So yeah. I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's fair to liken the insurance requirements as hoops to jump through. I think sometimes they can feel excessive. They can feel like a lot. But the thing that we have to continue to tell ourselves as patients is that these are here for a reason. Bariatric surgery is as safe as it is because your entire care team is very prepared for your surgery. That's why they want the scans. That's why they want you to meet with mental health experts, right? It's why they want to know all the things so that you can be best prepared when you do go in for that surgery. And one of the most powerful tools that you can use along this journey, and you can start using it today, is truthful conversations with yourself and your care team.
Yeah.
You don't have to have it with anybody else on this planet, but you have to be truthful with yourself and you have to be truthful with your care team. Those truthful conversations are actually the keys that will unlock all of the doors and help you get through all of the hoops that lie ahead for you. But if you are not truthful in those 2 areas, it's just not going to be a successful journey for you.
And you might get through the hoops really quickly and get the surgery. And guess what's going to happen? Afterwards, you might need more support than you ever thought you would. And had you done it differently, we would have it would have been an easier road.
Yeah.
And so, we have that in the beginning of our paperwork, is please try to be as honest as possible, because your answers are going to help us curate a nice set of recommendations for you. And that's really the second part, the insurance requirements. You know, are you Are you free of a substance abuse diagnosis at the current moment? Are you free of any major mental illnesses? And when we say major mental illnesses, we mean like active schizophrenia with auditory and visual visual hallucinations, suicidal ideation within the last 12 months. Again, that doesn't mean that's a no. It means it's a not right now. It means let's get you stable enough and in enough treatment and then reevaluate for it. So ASMBS has a set of recommendations that they have put forth that it just basically say these are kind of the areas that we want to make sure that our patients are good and steady and stable and ready to go. And so that's the insurance portion of it. The other portion of it, I think it kind of depends on who you go to and what you get. But this is my favorite part, which is the recommendations, which is like, tell me all the things you struggle with for the past whatever many years that you've been struggling, and let's like dig it apart and figure out how we can do it differently, because I've never met such a hardworking group of people who have tried and tried and tried and haven't given up. I love that about the bariatric world. It's just so like, it's just the most motivated group of people. And so maybe if we give you a different set of recommendations alongside this life-saving surgery, maybe, just maybe, this is going to be like the thing. So I love it. I love that set of recommendations is just like the little things people go, oh my God, I never thought about that. And that's my win for the day.
Oh, totally. Well, and Nat and I both know that, right? It took that meeting with the mental health professional to kind of give us those set of recommendations so we could be successful after surgery. We're here as a success story of how the process can work when you really do have the right support, the right team, and the right community by your side. This journey ended up being nothing that I thought it would be. And I think, Nat, you feel the same way, right? We thought it was going to be one. Ooh, it was like a choose your own adventure, except I didn't get to pick the adventure. It was like, here's what it is now. And if I would not have had, mental health professionals, a support community, all these things on my side, I wouldn't be sitting talking with you guys today. So it's an important part of that process, and being truthful, seeking out the support is where it starts. You mentioned something earlier, though. You said, let's get you kind of set on this path. Let's do this and this and this and this. Are there things that you recommend patients do in their pre-op stages to really kind of maximize, their experience post-op?
So the first is just walk the walk, be the closest thing you can to a post-op surgery patient. I know you can't eat like that necessarily because it's like wildly different and you don't even know what it's going to look like. But what's your day going to look like? Where are you going to fit in movement? Where are you going to fit in planning and prepping and shopping for the right foods that you're going to eat? Because that is time consuming. And it's sort of sometimes people go from not planning anything to having to realize, oh my gosh, like I can't just wing it like I used to. And so getting in those tiny changes into your day are kind of a big deal. Sometimes it's going to mean that now you need to start going to the grocery store 3 times a week instead of 1 time a week because you're getting sick of different foods, So maybe just building that into your schedule now and recognizing how much time it really takes to take care of yourself appropriately. It's a big one. Like movement is just, and I say movement instead of exercise just because some people aren't even close to what we consider exercise. I mean, today I have done no exercise and earlier I was like, I just need to walk down the street and back and run an errand at the end of my street. And I was like, okay, I moved. I mean, I did break sweat, right? So just kind of getting that reminder into yourself that just like getting up and whether it's stretching or some light weights or whatever you need to do. But I also think from an emotional perspective, finding that support and coping mechanisms that are going to be different. If you heavily rely on food for your coping, many of us do. It's just a nice, easy, comfortable coping mechanism, right? Imagine this. Imagine if you use crutches and I were to say to you, hey, give me your crutches. I'm going to put them right here, but you can't use them. You would be like, and it create some panic, right? You can't use the crutches. You can see the crutches, but you're not supposed to touch the crutches. That's really hard. Now imagine I were to say to you, in 3 months, I'm going to need to take those crutches away. So what I want you to do for the next 3 months is start thinking about, where are the hand railings? Who are the people who can hold your hand to steady you? Where is the surface flatter? Where are the roads that aren't as bumpy for you? Where do you know that can be triggers for you to fall? Right? And so in those 3 months, just getting 3 or 4 little tiny things that would help you to not look back to the crutches is so key. And so that is, it's really not a hard thing to do, but it really can help prepare people prior to surgery to just have those little things ready.
Yep. And really, those are all of our pillars in BariNation. So we have 4 pillars in our community and in our BariNation world. They're movement, for the exact same reason that you call it movement. It's mindset. It's metabolic wellness, which is focusing on how we nourish our bodies. And it's community, becoming connected with and establishing yourself in community. Yeah. So all 3 of the things that you mentioned, we talk about every single day, and we talk about those things in every stage. So we have members of BariNation who are PreOp, right? Like they don't even know what surgeon they're going to go with yet. They just know they've committed to the process. So we're talking about that in those PreOp stages. And then of course the conversation continues, because you have to learn, okay, how do I do this now without the crutch? Or how do I do this now that I'm on the other side of it?
We're hardwired for connection, right? Research shows that human beings experience emotional and even physical pain when they're isolated. And loneliness can trigger some of the same regions of the brain as physical injury. So it's not just nice to have support. It's really a biological necessity. Mm-hmm. And having support from people who get it is just gold. I mean, that where else can you find it? I don't know how many people you guys have right now, but if you have this many groups a month, it must be a ton. But get it, it's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you so much about that. What can I do now? My pre-op for my most recent surgery was 3 months. I had a very rigorous, very limited pre-op diet to follow. And I just deep dived. I thought it was the middle of COVID. I was unemployed. I just thought, I'm going to make this my job. So I would get up at 6 a.m. I would take my walks. I would plug into, this is shameless plug. This is the 5-year, as we're recording this is our 5-year anniversary of the podcast. Jason and April pressed play 5 years ago today. But this was also the time that I was deciding to have surgery. So listening to Jason and April, listening to other community members on Instagram and other podcasts. I mean, it really is the more I truly believe that because I did so much this time around during my pre-op and didn't see it as a punishment, but saw it as a toolkit, if you will. I feel like I'm doing so much better this time around because I did all of that preparation and taught myself just a handful of things. I mean, after surgery, nothing can compare, right? You have nothing to compare it to. But really, truly taking the time before your surgery is huge.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 other things that I love and I rely on frequently. One is called what I just probably not very well named, but I call it disaster planning, right? So this is when life inevitably ensues, right? So, mother-in-law's in the hospital, kids sick, job's overwhelming, and you don't have time to cook that week. Or, something even worse, somebody's passed or whatever the case might be. That's just really shuts down your planning system. All those great things you put into place are out the window. Mm-hmm. And so I tell people, get a list of 5 to 8 meals. And you might have to recreate this list multiple times as you go through your journey and you no longer can eat eggs because you don't like them anymore or whatever the case might be. And so this is a list where you could walk into a store and in less than 10 minutes, you could pick up 10 ingredients and you could come home and you would have just pick. But and that's going to make it through the week, whether it's an already cut up vegetable tray, cheese sticks, nuts, whatever your dietitian has told you that's okay for your plan. Every surgeon's a little bit different with what they suggest. So finding that really quick way, because I have people tell me, I had to go through fast food because I'm just so pressed for time. And I'm like, so next time what I want you to do is I want you to start the timer when you leave your office and time yourself all the way through fast food. And then I want you to do it again and time yourself through the 10 minutes to the grocery store where you got 9 meals out of it. Right. And then you divide, trust me, it didn't save you any time and you lost money and you don't feel as good. Right. Yeah. And so no judgment. I mean, we've all been there. Yeah. But that's a big, and this is one that you kind of keep either on your phone or just out so that when it hits the fan, you're ready.
Oh my God. And that disaster plan can be applied not just to disastrous moments of life. Like it can be applied today. Like if you look ahead and your week is insane and you instantly feel that worry and that anxiety rising, this is when you could use that plan.
I'm not a surgical patient and I use it regularly when I'm like, why am I trying to make an actual dinner when we could just have sandwiches? It is too stressful in this house. If we could all just make sandwiches and move on with our evenings, wouldn't that be better? Right? And I finally began to realize that I was just hurting myself by trying to make it continue to work. And then everybody was miserable. So, and then I think the other one that I use a lot is writing a letter to yourself prior to surgery. Ooh. For the person that you have been and that you are, to the person who maybe is struggling a little bit, kind of reminding yourself, this is what I'm currently dealing with. My knees hurt every time I walk up and down stairs, right? Maybe even just making a list of all the things that are really bothering you in your life. I will never forget about 20 years ago, I had a guy come back to see me and he had done this list. And at the very top of the list, he had getting out of the effing car. And it was in big writing. And he said he wrote it in the parking lot. He was so mad. And he said, this is just, I can't, it's so hard to get in and out of my car. And when I saw him 6 months later, he goes, this is not an issue anymore. And I feel like I could tear up thinking about it. It's been so many years. I just love it when all of these things aren't issues anymore. So it's writing a letter or a list to yourself to remind yourself how far you've come, first of all. And then secondly, why you're still doing it. You believe it or not, you can forget how much struggle you had in years past. It's shocking, but you can.
Oh, so. I was just going to say, I wish that was something that I had done before my surgery. I really do. I did not do that. I did a lot of other things, but not that. And I am, again, amazed at how different life is now for me. And it's I know it feels different. I know this is different, but I can't remember exactly why. And if I would have taken the time to kind of record that, I would have it. And we talk about, again, it's going to sound like a broken record. In BariNation, it was just a few weeks ago, right, Nat? We did an entire week of learning focused on our why. Why the whys are so important and how a why is different from a goal, right? This has to be something that almost can never be achieved in a way, but it can start off with those things. Why do I want to get this done? Because I want to get out of the effing car. Why do I want to get this done? Because I want to go kayaking. I want to do these things in life. But really what's at the foundation of that why is you want more access to your life.
That's right.
Right? That's your why. That why never changes. And how you access life and what you do absolutely can change as you go throughout your journey. But getting in touch with all of those reasons that are motivating you to make this monumental decision to onboard effective treatment for the disease of obesity is critically important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's important that I think physicians get on board with this too about the whys of their patients instead of just the number on the scale. While that number might be helpful for the chart, if you really talk to your patient about why and you jot it down and you check in with them next time, did you get on that roller coaster? Oh, that's so good. It's so good that they get it,
Oh.
And so many bariatric surgeons do get it. And that's why I think it's somewhat healing. It's funny because patients are scared to see somebody for the first time, a bariatric surgeon, even a psychologist. I think, there's there's been a lot of medical stigma of, just having suffered from obesity their whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even for just years. That step is huge. But then they walk into this office and it's somebody who not only treats it, but knows exactly what to say and how to do it. And sometimes that can be really healing, is to work with the surgeons and their teams that aren't going to judge you for maybe the first time in your life. And I mean, I know you guys just had Dr. Ann Rogers on here, and I feel like the fact that a surgeon even made stigma her goal this year is just mind blowing. It's so amazing to me, right? It's so cool. And it's being talked about more than it's ever been for a long time. So I think it's a great time to be seeking out care, because I think we're starting to get it more than we ever have.
And that's something that I lead beginner bariatrics meetups. I'm not a licensed therapist, or it would be called a support group, and we get pretty deep. But we talk about this all the time, that, we come and we air our grievances about the bariatric world a lot. There's a lot more that we talk about, but we'll say, man, this is frustrating, or man, why wasn't I encouraged to do this sooner? Or you fill in the blank. And there are so many times where I say, yeah, but look at the time that we do get to have surgery, because we're on the precipice of really big things in the bariatric realm. And that always kind of cools people off. I'm like, yeah, it sucks that we have to be the guinea pigs, for lack of the data. I've been saying we're the data that's helping, the future. And that can feel like, can I just be the one that gets the benefit? Yeah. But at the same time, like, people are starting to get it. And it's, because of our podcast, it's because of other podcasts, it's because patients are speaking up and doing the work of weight loss surgery, like we like to call it in BariNation. So,
and in some ways, the introduction of these medications have also helped tremendously for people to seek out care for the first time, and possibly, hopefully, from an obesity medicine specialist, especially because they are the people who understand the disease process, and they also are hopefully going to be less stigmatizing than maybe somebody who's just 10 seconds ago learned about it from the rep. So,
right. And that is something that we've actually seen in and out of the community, just in BariNation in general. We have started to interact with so many people who have been on an anti-obesity medication, or they've been on a GLP-1. They've either hit a stall, they've hit a plateau, they're having adverse effects, right? Whatever it is. And they are working with that surgeon, right? With that obesity medicine specialist. And the conversation naturally goes to, okay, look, you are battling a lifelong and chronic disease, and anti-obesity medications might not be the thing that helps us, treat it indefinitely. So now let's talk about these other
tools, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the tools. So it's just more people, I think, are really becoming open to this idea of surgery for a lot of different reasons. It's one of the safest surgeries out there. And now, thanks to truly social media, you can see millions of people successfully living life after the surgery. As Nat always says, they are living their loudest, proudest, most authentic selves, even if they're not actually broadcasting their surgery experience. Just living your life in your most boldest way is a testament to the power of this type of treatment. So,
absolutely.
Changes are definitely happening.
It's pretty cool.
It's very cool. The thing that I wanted to circle back to a little bit, and Nat, please chime in. When you hear these lists, or when you hear these suggestions from Katie about, like, here's what you can do before surgery, those are all absolutely phenomenal things, and attempt to do them. Really, truly do. When I was a patient before surgery, I did not think food controlled my life. I didn't think it. I didn't believe it. There was no way on God's green earth that I was doing. Okay, I absolutely was relying on food for everything in my life. I just didn't know it until, as you so beautifully explained, Katie, my crutches got taken away from me and all I could do was look at them. So if you're hearing these suggestions and you're thinking like me, you're like, I don't think that's me. I don't think that's me. That's okay. It might not be you, But sometimes you can't see something until you are living something. So give yourself some space and grace, right? Look and listen, rewatch all of these amazing things that Katie is saying and really truly think about what can you try now? What can you do now? Because it's true. I didn't practice any of those things before surgery, and it was a real struggle. Whereas Nat, I know you were living the bariatric life 3 months before surgery, and I got to witness you go from pre-op to post-op. Mm-hmm. You absolutely crushed it, and you continue to do so. But I saw you do exactly what you said, which I so appreciate you saying. You treated it like another job. This is my full-time job. It's not saying it's more important or less important, but you're saying this is equally important with all my other responsibilities. So will you share with us now a little bit of like, how did you wrap your brain around that? How did you kind of just make this commitment to this is my job for now?
Yeah, I think first of all, this was my third time. This was my third try, bariatric surgery. So I had a little bit of insight as to however, it was about 10 years in between my first surgery and my second. So, there had been some time difference, but I knew what to expect. I knew that there was going to be a liver shrinking diet. I knew that there was going to be some kind of a plan asked of me before and after surgery. I think what was different this time is I actually felt ready. Like I actually, with therapy, with doing the work, with hearing stories from patients like you and Jason and other podcasts that we've heard and seen grow, listening to patients talk about like how wonderful their lives are, even being so soon after surgery. That really encouraged me to just do it and to really treat it like my job and to treat it like, it was the rest of my life. I was over 400 pounds. My grandma had just died. I mean, I was really in a deep, dark space and it was COVID, right? So isolation. I mean, there was a lot going on in my life. And I just thought, this has to be it. This has to be the thing that changes my life. And I made it happen because I needed it. I needed it to work. And not in a desperation way, but in like this is for me for the first time in my life way. And I see that a lot in the BariNation support community. I see that a lot in our BariNation beginner bariatric groups. You come to a point where you're like, this just has to be it. This just has to work. And I'm going to figure it out and do whatever it takes. And sometimes I get mad bringing it back to that of the psychiatrists, 2 different psychiatrists denying me within a span of a year, right? I bring it back to that because I was not ready. I was doing it because I felt like I needed to lose weight. I didn't feel comfortable in my body, but that was kind of it. It was expected of me. But like when I was approved and ready to go and did all the things, I was ready. I made the decision and I felt secure in that decision because it was for me. It wasn't for society. It wasn't for family members or friends. It was me. It was my decision and it was going to happen.
I'm curious, had those psychiatrists said, hey, these are the things you need to work on, do you feel like that would have been dangling a carrot? I'm asking genuinely. Do you feel like it would have been dangling a carrot? Or, because I always wonder, I don't ever want people to think I'm misleading them. I don't.
That's a good question. I think kind of going back to what I said, like I wasn't ready. So I think if someone, I think I used it as a scapegoat to be like, meh, that was them. And I'm just going to gain 30 more pounds, and just do whatever I want. I wasn't ready. Like, I think sometimes if I was ready at that point and someone said, hey, we can't approve you today, but like, then I would have been like, yep, sign me up. What do I need to do? But I think it has to be the mental, like, I'm ready to do the work because it is work before, after, during, like, it's all work, but it's really awesome work. that you get to yourself.
It is. And
Katie,
it frees up so much emotional energy too for other things. I think that's what's awesome about when you go to therapy and you can put your stuff in its right place. The amount of emotional energy that does translate into physical energy, by the way, is, I mean, it's unbelievable. And so it just, everything sort of propels forward when you can find its place.
Yep. I remember vividly, and if you've listened a long time, you've heard me tell the story 10,000 times, but I don't care. I remember sitting in my brand new house in the chair right out there, looking out at my beautiful view. And I was like, why do I feel like I have so much time on I was like, what am I forgetting? What meetings have I missed? I was like, oh my God, why? And it dawned on me. It's because I'm not fighting obesity. Right? It's because literally the disease has been put in its place up here. It's been put in its place physically. And that was when I realized just how much time and energy the disease was sucking out of every facet of my life.
Yeah. You often don't realize things until they're gone or they're present,
Yes.
We just went to an event on Saturday night and the person sitting next to us was just unruly. He had to be removed. What's interesting is that I didn't even realize how anxious I was about it until he was gone. And then I just enjoyed the show so much. And I thought about that. I thought, gosh, this is like a great reminder that sometimes we don't even, I didn't think I was that upset by it, but I was like, oh, wow, I feel so much better.
Right?
And we remove these things that are like sort of constant and eating at us and distracting us from what we want to be attending to. It really does improve everything.
Yeah. It does. I am not a person of faith. I wasn't raised in a family of faith. I know of faith, but I don't know of it personally. It hasn't been a part of my story. After bariatric surgery, I was having a conversation with one of our shared close mutual friends. And I told her, I said, oh my God, I finally get the concept of faith now. I finally understand what it means to believe wholeheartedly that something is out there for you or will help, but you have absolutely zero evidence of it. You can't touch it. You can't see it. You can't access it. It is not something that is available to you in that moment, but every fiber of your being is pushing you to just believe that it is waiting for you once you kind of cross that threshold. And I mean, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it now, because I think many of us go into bariatric surgery thinking this is going to work. I think you're like 99% sure this is going to work. That 1% is what keeps you sitting on the sideline forever. That one little stinking percent. But that is what faith is. And listening to stories of patients like us, listening to practitioners like Katie talk about the power of surgery and how you can be successful is the thing that you can tap into if you need that little boost of faith to get you over the edge. It is going to be unlike work you have ever done before in your life. And you are going into this knowing you don't know how to be a patient. You shouldn't know how to be a patient. You've never been here before. You are going to have to learn new things. You are going to have to learn how to do the things you already do, like grocery shopping, like eating, like moving, in a different way and for different reasons. And you are going to need the help of support and community and experts and people. You're going to need that. But that's how this is designed to work. And I think for so many years, for decades, we treated the disease as it treated us, which was in isolation. One patient, one procedure, you're only going to talk to the doctor, right? There was no community support surrounding it.
Right.
And as soon as you bust that disease out of this little cave of isolation that you've been living in, you can not only see it for what it truly is, which is a lifelong and chronic disease, but you can name it. You can start talking to it. You can start talking back to it. You can start utilizing tools that kind of help you live with this disease. But you cannot do that in isolation.
Right.
You can't. You have to be faithful. You have to be brave, and you have to kind of say the scary things out loud to people that you trust. But as soon as you do that, your life, your bariatric journey will change. It's the reason we created BariNation. If you want to learn how to do these things, if you want that kind of support, it lives in the community. And it also lives with ATA Bariatrics. It lives there in your support groups. It lives in that one-on-one therapy that you do offer patients. It takes all of these things to get through.
What I think is great about these support systems is that sometimes you're not ready to be the vulnerable one, but you get to come and watch somebody be the vulnerable one and go, I feel that way too. I feel that way too. Well, that person who's being the vulnerable one might have been you 2 months prior, right? Going, I don't want to say anything, but oh, I agree with that person. I agree with that person. And so there's all kinds of people who show up in these groups. Some people say nothing and some people say a lot, right? And so you don't have to be the person who says a lot. You may just need to come and see other people being a couple steps ahead of you or a lot of steps ahead of you, or maybe a couple steps behind you. And you can go, you got this. I've seen this before. I've been here before.
Yeah,
and that's
we encourage a lot of our members. Generally at the top, I say, if you tend to share quite often, maybe take a step back. If you have not shared before and you're a little nervous, maybe tonight's the night to be a little bit brave. And it all comes out in the wash, right? Sometimes people feel that brave moment, like you said, Katie. Yeah. And some people sometimes are sharers. They just have to get something off their chest because they're in the middle of something, and that's okay too. But yeah, just having seen how the sharing of your story can help others, and then wanting to share your own is also just as impactful.
We're mind melding. We're speaking the same language, right? Because BariNation is the place that you can reach out for help, but it's also the place that you as a patient, you get to reach back behind you and help somebody else along the way. And when you're able to live in both of those worlds, oh, what a rewarding and joyful experience it is.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing like learning something and then being able to turn around and teach it to somebody else. I think it's so cool.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best.
And because you're like, I was there. I can show you this. I mean, I feel like this when I meet new psychologists and I'm like, let me help you. Let me show you what fumbles I made, and hopefully you won't have to make them. And that's just really rewarding.
Oh, awesome. All right, my friend, we got 2 questions for you before we wrap up this amazing conversation. One is a serious question and one is an absolute silly question that we've been asking everybody that we interview this year. But what is your bold prediction for obesity care in 2025?
Gosh, we're almost through 2025.
I know.
Maybe we can make it for the next 12 months. I just think we're at such a cool pivotal moment. Like I said, the initiative with Dr. Ann Rogers addressing stigma as her primary goal for her presidency, I think was just cool and awesome and made a real difference. I think, or will have done 6 talks on stigma in the 12 months, to primary care physicians, to surgeons. It's just, and that I believe that would have not happened prior to her putting that out there, which is really cool. So I think there's a real shift in the way we're talking about obesity. And I hope what that does is it opens doors for people to maybe say, oh, maybe I want to get treated. Maybe I now understand this is a disease. And really just putting that stigma and shame that we have, seen people walk around with for far too long to the side. So that's it. And then also, maybe a little bit more access to care. I'm super excited that we're doing a Hill visit at ASMBS.
Yes.
God, this access to care committee is tireless. They're just amazing with what they do. And I think that, we're knocking on some good doors these days, and hopefully both for the treatment of obesity and for mental health. I think it's a great, and I will also add here too, if you are not finding that you can get your mental health covered, let us know, because if they can email me, I don't care, but it's a place for us to start, because if we don't know that it's not being covered for your pre-surgical evaluation, for example, or even post-operative therapy, let us know. It's something we'll fight for. I mean, I feel really passionate about that. So,
and I'll offer a little bit of context here. So what Katie's talking about is the ASMBS, the big society. They have all kinds of different committees that work towards making things happen at the national level and even at the state level. One of those committees is the Access to Care Committee. And the entire role of that committee is to make sure that every patient has access to obesity care. And it is all of it. It's nutrition, it's mindset, it's movement. It is everything. BariNation, thankfully, amazingly, we have a seat on that committee. So I get to go to the meetings and hear what they do. Freaking pit bulls who are on a mission to do so. So when Katie says reach out, that is literally what she's talking about. She wants to know that you don't have coverage. They want to know what plan is it and what state do you live. And she literally makes a phone call or writes an email to the Access to Care Committee. And that committee goes after improving access to care. So that is exactly what she's talking about. So if this is you, reach out. We'll link Katie's contact information in the show notes. So just open up the description. Her email will be there. Her website will be there. You can also send us an email or a DM and we'll connect you with her, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. But if you don't have access to care, that could be surgery, medications, therapy, nutrition, let us know so we can pass it on to that committee.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Last question. And it's a funny one.
Oh dear.
So, and we have heated discussions about this in BariNation. Pumpkin spice. Is it allowed before the first day of fall in your world?
No. And no.
Katie, I was rooting for you.
No. Okay, so first of all, I don't drink pumpkin spice, but I mean, smell anything. Well, I don't know. It just doesn't. I like cinnamon and whatever, but I love
my pearls.
Candles, and I can't light those until fall. Like even the candles, I'm very hardcore. It's like I don't drink red wine unless it's cool outside. Like I'm a very regimented person.
Okay.
Yeah, I have my pumpkin my apple candles are for the fall too. We're about to get into, like the cotton summer candles now.
Yeah, right. Some lemon, some tropical notes.
And Nat, are you like an all year long pumpkin spice person?
I would, if it was available in like coffee shops year round, I would drink it.
It isn't? I mean, I know that like Starbucks, but the rest of them can't do it for you. This seems like a market we could tap into.
I just had you on Team Fall, and now you're making the switch already? Man.
Well, I don't know.
If it brings me joy, why take it away? You know what I mean?
Is there a protein shake that has pumpkin spice protein shakes? There was and I don't like it much. It's very aspartame-y. It's not right. Yeah, that makes sense.
We have heated debates about this, and your logic is the logic on Team Fall only. Like we have to preserve some sacredness to the seasons. Otherwise, what's the point of having seasons?
Christmas pine trees in the
exactly. Thank you.
That's so funny. Like I light those candles year round. Like I have the balsam, like fir balsam from like World Market.
You feel very confused all the time.
I love it.
Exactly.
It makes me feel happy. It brings me joy. Don't take it away.
I won't. I will not let it work out. You enjoy that.
Exactly. It's always where we stand. Oh, goodness. Well, Katie, thank you for indulging a moment of fun and playfulness in what has been an amazing conversation. If there is one thing that you really want the people listening or watching this episode taking away from today, what is it? What's your big takeaway for them?
Remember that you're in the driver's seat here. Like you can go get help. You can go try out a therapist and see them 3 times and never go back. Right? You can try out a new suggestion and drop it tomorrow. It's fine. I think a lot of times with the disease of obesity, we feel like we're told that we have to do certain things that other people are telling us to do. And really, actually, when I meet people who are like, I'm not sure if I want the surgery. And I'm like, well, you're the one that gets to decide that, right? Like, let's talk all about it, the whole thing. And then you can decide today or tomorrow or next year. It doesn't really matter. And I think when you take that kind of charge of getting into the driver's seat, you're like, okay, I'm going to go to this therapy appointment and I'm going to decide what I'm going to share and if I like this person, if I've connected with them. And then you get to come back to the next appointment if you want to, right? So I think the same thing for support groups, right? Come and eyeball it. Just see what it's about. You didn't sign up for a life commitment. You didn't just have a baby and have to take care of it for 18 years. You can say, never mind. I don't. And that's like our support groups are like once a month. You pay for one little support group and you never come back. And you don't have to talk, right? You don't have to say a word. And I'm sure that's the case for you guys too, that you have a lot of people who just want to watch, and that's great.
Yes. We have a lot of wallflowers, a lot of hanger-oners. There's all kinds of words that they use to describe themselves. But we always say, you are welcome in whatever capacity you can show up today. If that means you just want to listen to the Zoom, camera off, no chat, welcome. You want to be driving that conversation, welcome. You want to just post on the feed or you want to access the on-demand resources, wonderful. Yeah. Come as you are. It is here for you to utilize in the way that works for you today.
And you know, if you're in the pre-surgical process and you have questions, check and see, like we see people in 40 different states. So you can send me an email, say, do you see people in my state? Do you take my insurance? I'm pretty accessible and I like it that way. So that, you know, you don't feel like you're working with a machine. And we do text back and forth with our patients when we're scheduling them, but it's not an AI person. It's a real person. So like 4 of them who are fantastic, and they get the people who say, I actually am at the end of my road and I forgot to schedule the psych eval. What do I do? And we're like, all right, let's make this happen for you. We can't promise that, you know, you get the green check mark right away, but hopefully so.
It's that human compassion. It's the human connection that really makes this journey so joyful and really just allows the journey to happen in the first place. So thank you for being such an amazing provider, for creating such an amazing space for patients, and for partnering with BariNation. We are thrilled about this, and we're just honored to be on the same team.
Yeah, I'm so happy about it too. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited.
This has been wonderful. Friends, if you want to connect with Kati, all of her contact information will be linked in those show notes. So just go ahead and open that description. We'll also put the link to the ATA BariNation partnership. So if you are a patient or you'd like to think about becoming a patient, you have access to that information. All right, friends. Kati, thank you again. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you guys.
All right. See you soon. Bye, friends.
That wraps up another empowering episode of the BariNation podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, keep the conversation going by joining the BariNation membership community, where you can attend live support events, access on-demand resources, and find a caring community.
Join us at barination.mn.co. If you found this podcast valuable, help us produce it by becoming a $5 monthly supporter at barinationpodcast.com.
And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.